Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We hope you enjoyed the first part and that you had time for a coffee at the break. So, moving along. As you know, especially those that follow the Facebook and Twitter feeds in Serbia, millennials have been a big topic in recent times. However, we're going to hear another angle, and we'll have Danko Kardović from Direct Media, who will tell us a bit more about this group.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I have really enjoyed the conference so far. I hope that what's coming next will hold your attention as well. My name is Danko Kardović, and I'm working with the amazing research team in Direct Media, one of the leading media system operating throughout Adriatic region for the last 15 years. Now, among hundreds of reports and analysis that we do every month, gaining invaluable insights about the consumer lifestyle and their habits, we gather around this special project, deploying all existing global and proprietary tools in order to get to know the most popular and the most wanted generation of our time, the millennial. Sure, you can find numerous text and online analysis about them, but the question is, as for international data, is this applicable to the ever so specific local market such as Serbia? We didn't want to take any chances, so we decided to follow our saying, if you want something done, you have got to do it yourself. All jokes aside, we put a lot of time and effort into developing proprietary tools and analysis to make up for a fact the little can be drawn for a global market and put to the proper use in this market. The methodology we use consists of a focus group, online and offline panels. Our close cooperation with GfK, Ipsos, Mindtake, and Mediana contribute a great deal into finding out some really exciting facts about millennials in Serbia. For example, their use, or better say, dependence on mobile phone. They can't live without mobile phone. They sleep with it, never leave home without it. For them, mobile phone is their main source of information. For them, mobile phone equals the internet. If by chance, God forbid, they don't have internet connection, they tend just to scroll down the settings menu. Mobile phone is their natural extension. I bet a lot of you are wondering how significant mobile is in your media mix. Okay. In the film you're about to see, we reveals not only the media habits of millennial Serbia, but their beliefs, their nature. We were surprised to say the least, that even if they're more liberal than other generations, their values are pretty traditional. They value their parents and their family above all. They value personal relationship and loyalty. They seek authentic, not the fake. They value difference, tolerance, teamwork and balance, even spirituality. While routine is not always perceived as something good, millennials in Serbia love routine. Actually, they're kings of routine. They prefer every day to be the same, and they will not change it for anything. They also like to keep a simple job or school, quick meal, afternoon nap, movie in the evening, or hanging out with the friends in the hood. Growing up and watching their parents having a hard time made our millennials quite modest, made their life expectation relatively low. However, that doesn't mean that they gave up on their chase for happiness. It just means for them, you just need little to be happy. Having a great time with family, no big worries, it's just enough for them. Millennials in Serbia believes that everyone should make an effort to find their own happiness and try to achieve it. Anyway, I can go on and on about them, but I believe you prefer to see it on screen. Getting to know millennials firsthand and making this movie was a challenge, and we love a good challenge. So, challenge us, see what we can, and prepare to be surprised.
Do you know who the Millennials are? Nope, not even close to minions. But they can be cute just the same. Millennials are people who were born just before the new millennium started, somewhere between 1980 and 2000. They're also called Generation Y. But why exactly are they important to the marketing industry? Because they represent the main target group of the majority of brands in the world. It is important to get to know them better. Oh yes, it's essential. And you better be good to them, because they're going to represent 50% of all manpower by the year 2020. If you understand millennials, you'll get a better chance to communicate with them in a more efficient way. In order to address them, you need to bear in mind how highly they're addicted to the internet. Some of them consider their gadgets as inseparable parts of their body. You need to understand that for them, to stay alive means to stay online. The first thing they do when they wake up is to update all their social network channels. Only then are they really awake. They learn, amuse, and improve themselves through YouTube. And they chat all the time. In the bathroom, in the library, in their sleep. They chat while they chat about being tired of chat. And they use it for everything, to make arrangements, connections, and friendships. Their week has 7 Mondays, or 7 Fridays. It doesn't matter. Their time doesn't work according to the world's time, maybe because they represent a world of its own. They don't check places by visiting them. They go online to check out places before they even think of going out of their homes. They're a tough audience, but the biggest one, and the most informed one, so you better like them. The majority of the millennials in Serbia had tough childhoods, and not many opportunities to travel. They're not willing to embrace changes easily and mostly remain conservative about important social issues. They highly respect anyone who has made something out of nothing. Luckily, that means that their heroes are not only slum millionaires, but their parents also. They're honest and direct, modest and optimistic, young but powerful, and they just want to be left to socialize. Through social networks, of course, what else? Or to be left to sleep, with their cell phones under their pillow. In order to provide our clients with all kinds of useful insights about millennials in Serbia, Direct Media conducted a huge independent research project using a wide range of tools. Now, we are ready to make a stronger local impact on the globally orientated target group. We discovered a whole new brave world along with completely new channels of communications for brands. To an optimistic future ahead, and a future of optimized media budgets.
Danko. And now, after this presentation, we'll have several experts from different areas talk about millennials. Joining us on the panel will be moderator Istok Pavlović from Frame, then Daniela Đorđević from Sberbank, Marija Matić from Direct Media, Brendan Gain from Epic Signal, and Herbert Schoberl from Telenor. This panel is sponsored by Sberbank.
Is this working? It's working. Good. Okay, that was a great introduction, great video. I have several questions for you. Of course, it's all about millennials. There are some tricky ones, but I think it'll be good. So let's start with Maria. Let's for start, let's see why are we so obsessed with the phenomenon of millennials at all, and does that mean that we actually, are focused just on younger people, and 50 plus people are pretty much excluded, and on the other hand, those people are actually the ones with greatest income. So how do you relate to that?
Well, yes, it's a real phenomenon nowadays, and millennials as a world is one of the most popular buzzwords in the media nowadays. I think that the whole marketing industry is focused on millennials. Just to mention again, a millennial is a person who was born between 80s and noughts, and they are very important for the marketing. There are several reasons why is that so. For example, it is really big generation, and just as we mentioned, some information regarding them. As of 2015 in America, millennials were 35% of workforce, and it was based on Bureau of Labor Statistics in America. And it is expected that by 2020, they will consist 50% of global workforce. So this is their biggest strength, if I can say. Also, we call them digital native generation, and since we all recognize digital these several age ago, we have to change approach to them, approach of marketing. We have new media fragmentation, new consumer journey, etc. And all of these parameters are based on behavior of millennials. Generally speaking, when we are talking about marketing, marketing was always focused on people about 19 to 49 years ago. This is a general target group for the marketing. So it is not strange that millennials are so important for all of us.
Right.
But when we are talking about Serbia, I think that we should talk about a broader target group, maybe 19 to 55, since there are several reasons. For example, children live here with parents much longer than it is in the West.
Yeah.
Then our students study much longer as it should be. Or our average life age is around 45. So if we are focused only on younger population, then we missed a large part of our population. I think that we should also concentrate on that, and then here in Serbia and maybe in Europe, where is the oldest nation, should the whole marketing concentrate also on older population.
Okay. So now, Daniela, for you, there's a tricky question. So, could it be that this whole millennials thing is some kind of fad? Some kind of, like everyone is jumping on the latest millennial bandwagon, and we've seen a lot of buzzwords in this industry, like popping up and dying in a matter of months or years. So, is this a fad or not?
No, it's not a fad. And of course, I don't think that millennials will disappear at the time. Maybe it will appear new digital term for them. But for us, for the banking sector, millennials is not just generation from early 80 to 2000. It's a way of life and habits and strong desire for living and for researching.
Yeah.
So millennials could be someone who is older and who is not growing up in condition like millennials, but they behave as millennials.
So is this some kind of virus that's spreading to older people?
Yes, it's spreading to older people.
Yeah.
We are working a lot with people who are not online oriented, focusing them on online channels, educate them and give them better condition online, simplify their whole process related to the bank.
Okay.
So yes, we are interested in millennials, of course, but we are also interested in other generation, X generation, pensioners.
Yeah.
So our strategy is not going in direction of opening new branches. We are going in direction to develop online channels, and because of millennials, but because of other generations too. So, as the banking sector, millennials hold 20% of our total clients' portfolio, and 37% is baby boom generation, and 38% is X generation. So you can see that is not big difference between baby boomers and X generation, but of course we have a different approach for each group.
Of course. Yeah.
And that 20% of millennials, they became our clients mostly through the internet channels. And they mostly were interested in cash loans and current accounts.
Okay, Brandon, how was the steak yesterday?
Oh, it was good.
Good, yeah.
Sorry for eating it all.
Oh, no problem. Well, you know, there's a funny thing about millennials. You know, they are known to be like quickly losing interest for anything that appears on social media. Like something that was cool today, you know, tomorrow is old news. And so, what are your thoughts on that? How to build a long-term brand in such an environment?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there's the perception that millennials are flighty and distracted, and it's like the ADD generation. And I don't think it's necessarily anything unique to, you know, I'm a millennial. To us, I think in a lot of ways it's like the product of the environment that we're in. More than any other time in history, you're being bombarded with messages. I mean, we're talking about advertisers are targeting millennials. And they are in force sometimes, whether or not it's appropriate. So we've got more options than we've ever had before, and so we're constantly like filtering, like what's of value, and analyzing stuff and throwing it away. And I don't think it's because we can't focus on something. I think it's because there's just so much crap out there. So to kind of cut through the clutter and actually have an impact, I think you've really got to ask yourself, you know, as a brand, am I adding value to this consumer? Because if it's just more stuff out there, it's going to be tossed aside. And to get to that point, I mean, it's obviously a big challenge, but I think it really boils down to, are you contributing something to this person, or are you simply trying to bombard them with this, you know, a message? And you know, great ways to add values are, you know, is it entertaining? Is it a great product? Does it support the values of, you know, that this millennial is you know, interested in? Am I providing unique information that maybe they don't have? And I think if you look at it through the lens of, this person gets hit with, you know, 10,000 ads every single day. I don't know if that's true, but in theory, they see 10,000 ads. How can I make sure that my moment with them is adding something to their day, not just I'm trying to get what I want from them? And I think if you look at it through that lens, you've got an opportunity to really have an impact and start to, you know, gain some mind share.
Good. Herbert, so tell us from your experience. I mean, we all imagine millennials like some kind of monsters connected to their smartphones like 24/7. But is it actually true? Do you have some stats on you know, how connected they are actually to their tablets and smartphones?
We do have some stats, but first of all, Zdravo Svima. I still remember I was sitting here last year and I announced that next year we can do the whole chat in Serbian. I a bit failed, to be honest, but I prepared something as this is Tito's birthday. So, izvinite što moramo da pričamo engleski, jer ne radim moj domaći i srpskog dovoljno. So, yeah, hvala. Još uvijek sam na unitu 5, and there is, I think, 15 more units to go. So,
bravo.
And I guess you will appreciate that I speak in English, then you will follow way better. So yeah, we do have some statistics around it. What you can see is for millennials, for example, that 80% have smartphones. And if you go at younger ages, below 25 years, they even have 90% of them have smartphones. For postpaid, that is. So I guess there are no monsters. Also, I am a millennial, even though I might not look like one, but I am. And I see that they are using it way more. What we have seen in a study we did, not just for Serbia, but also for other markets in Telenor, is, but in comparison to other countries, that people here in Serbia and also millennials, and that was based on millennials are using internet services, but also telco services. So there is a clear movement towards internet services for sure. For example, also the way how to communicate with each other. So it's not anymore email, it's Viber or it's Facebook Messenger, which has overtaken email. So first study we did was in 2014. Email was still in the first place for communicating, but now Viber and Facebook Messenger for Serbia has overtaken. So I think they assume they are connected constantly. Yeah. Sometimes, unfortunately, via Wi-Fi. So please, everybody, connect via mobile to your net. That would be really appreciated. So they want to be connected. They have the latest device. They use it across devices. But here in Serbia, I must say we are quite advanced.
Okay. So now back to you, Maria. Tell me, we people in marketing, they like to generalize things in order to get things done. So is it maybe saying like, okay, all millennials are the same? Is it maybe just too much of a generalization? So are there some kind of subgroups inside the millennials group?
Well, yes, there could be some generalization, and millennials are not the same. First of all, when we are talking about millennials, I think that the main problem, we do not have exact definition of millennials.
Yeah.
And they're the starting problem. When we are talking about millennials, there are no clear events that separate them from other generations. For example, Generation X, who are their parents, or baby boomers, or greatest generation. All these previous generations were defined by some significant event, such as Second World War, or fertility spike, or availability of birth control. There is no significant event for millennials. When we are talking that they are digital native, yes, they are digital native, but also Generation Z is digital native generation. And plus, not all of members of millennials are digital native. So that's the generalization about millennial. But when we are talking about the generation, it is the most various generation in history. And yes, yeah. Do you have a question? No. There are many research regarding subgroups into millennials. And what is interesting, the name that describes that subgroups are very good, and they describe them very well. For example, I found many research. It depends on research. So somewhere you can find 12 subgroups of millennials, or 7 subgroups of millennials, etc. And for example, we have millennials moms, or green millennials, or gadget guru millennials, even anti-millennials, or old school millennials, different millennials. Yeah. Also, some other research shows that there is travel enthusiasts, or culinary experts, or I like this quarter life crisis millennials, waiting for middle age crisis. Yeah. This is it. But what is important, this kind of research, I think, are the good starting point to get better insights regarding millennials. And it is the good step and a good direction for better knowledge of them, and after that, better creating the strategy and setting the strategy for the campaigns.
Okay, good. Back to Daniela. So speaking of classic marketing, like leads and sales and everything, are there some specific behaviors of millennials in terms of channels, for example, search or native or display? So what channels did you notice some kind of trend where some channel works better than the others to millennials?
Yes, of course.
Yeah?
But we are still a young bank on the Serbian market, and we are building awareness about Sberbank brand.
Okay.
And we are using online channels not just to attract millennials, but other generations too. Yeah. And from the last research I have seen, millennials, I think, use more email, SMS, and chat. But our main sources for collecting millennials leads is primarily Google search, organic and paid.
Google, okay.
Google search and our website and our direct users from the website.
Okay.
So when you create online campaign, you need to include more advertising options. For example, you need to use display banners for awareness. You need to use Google Ads and be organic and search. It's really important to be on Google organic and paid to collecting data and leads, specialized web portals such as e-commerce sites and financial portals to be compared with other banks, social media advertising, and of course you need to use your internal channels such as website and EDM campaigns, e-banking, and banking platforms. So when you are planning online campaign, I think that it's very important to have some additional catch, some extra benefit for online users. And we are the first bank in 2015, we are the first bank that creates special online offer for online users.
Okay.
2% lower interest rate if you apply online. And we had great results from that campaign, and we decided to continue to have online offer through the whole year. And we doubled our sales result with that campaign. And we had when it's about cash loans, that is the most wanted products for millennials. In our total online sales of cash loans, 30% of them is millennials.
Right.
And they are mostly use Google search to come to our website and fill up application form, and then they use our website like that, users.
Okay. So, Brandon, back to your core expertise, which is YouTube. So, unlike Facebook and other social media, where people are constantly about how to engage people on Facebook or Instagram, and whatnot, but when it comes to YouTube, I feel that people don't have a clue, about what actually to do when it comes to video. So, what would you recommend to brands? What kind of video content should brands create to engage people more?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, kind of building off of these last few questions and topics, we've been talking about millennials kind of very broadly, and I think that's a problem a lot of advertisers have. They think, 25 to 34, that's my target, but that's so broad and so general.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's your target, it's so broad as to be basically meaningless, I think. And so I think the first thing you want to do is identify who exactly are we talking to and why are we talking to them, and try and be as specific as possible. And then in terms of what to do on YouTube, I could go on, but I think a good way to break it down is, well, first off, you can look up the YouTube playbook. There's a brand playbook, which has a ton of information. But you can kind of break it out into, I think, 3 buckets. One is content. And YouTube has their content strategy, which breaks things out into what's called Hero, Hub, and Help. And those are the 3 types of content you want to create for your channel. Hero is, hey, maybe a big product launch. It's your kind of mass marketing push, the content you're pushing out into the world to drive awareness. But you also want to build a community, keep people engaged. If they subscribe, you want to reward them. So that's your hub content. What's a series you could maybe do every single week to keep people coming back? I mean, a lot of brands, they post 1 or 2 videos on YouTube, and then they forget about it until a year later when they've got another campaign. But nobody does that on Twitter. You need to think about it through the same lens. It's like, if you're going to have people follow you, you've got to feed the beast. So what is a piece of content that you can do week over week that your audience is going to like? And then there's help content, which is really all about capitalizing on existing user interests, and search habits and so on, where your brand has credibility. So, if you're, if you're like a bank, for example, maybe it's, how to set up your 401k, how to set up your savings account.
Right.
This informative stuff.
All those how-to videos,
Yeah, and that pulls people in really, really well.
Yeah.
And if you kind of have those three boxes checked, you're in a pretty good place. And then from there, the next piece is making sure you're implementing best practice. Massive community on YouTube that's often overlooked.
Yeah.
Are there other people you can collaborate with that have an audience you want to tap into? And so if you kind of think about it in terms of those three buckets, I think that's a good way to get started.
Okay. Okay, good. So Herbert, as we all know, all things change, and millennials today are not the same persons as millennials 5 years ago or 3 years ago, and there's a constant change in their behavior on social networks. So do you monitor that change, and how do you react to those changes, and can you predict what's going to happen, the evolution of millennials on social media?
There's a lot of questions to answer, I guess.
Yeah.
So we see a change. For example, on Facebook, it can clearly be seen that we are kind of in a stable position for quite some time in regards of fans, how many we are generating. And I would like to give you one example where we really boosted the number of fans. We have a youth platform for our prepaid customers, and we are inviting young heroes to speak about their experiences, what they did to change society.
Okay.
So we had a campaign together with Yasser Stein, who is clearly, I wouldn't even call them millennials, they're even younger than millennials.
He's an influential YouTuber.
He's a very influential YouTuber. And we have called for a competition where young people can submit their videos. So we had user-generated content from their side, and we managed to have even more than 200 videos submitted to our site. And we saw a clear increase in Facebook fans, even though they shouldn't be under 13s, clearly. But definitely there was a clear increase in Facebook fans. So we were taking care of a newer generation, which are still on Facebook, not running away just because their parents are there. Maybe a second topic would be that we are constantly monitoring where people are going to. So we see a big potential in Snapchat and Instagram. Firstly, Instagram. Snapchat, we are more discovering a bit more lately.
Yeah.
It always has to always fit to the brand. So there are some niches certainly which are perfectly fine for Snapchat. But Instagram is definitely something we are exploring more intensively.
Yeah.
Also, this it's kind of a strategic change. We have been trying so far to more move people to the website, also in regards of sales. Now we are trying more to engage with people on the social channels because they are there. They don't want to be moved anywhere. They expect the content to be there, and they expect the content to be entertaining and engaging.
Good, good. Maria, so we all know that the most visited websites in Serbia, besides social networks, of course, are news websites. And what is the how millennials look at news consumption today? I heard a lot of millennials say, like, I don't need news. If anything happens, I'm going to see that on Twitter, on Facebook.
Yes.
So
yes, that's
how do you
true.
relate to that?
Well, generally, millennials are less interested in news than some pre-digital generation. And the typical behavior of them is that they are constantly on social networks and on mobile devices. So social networks are the main source of information for them, also for news. Via Twitter or through Facebook, they get all relevant information for them. Or I like the statement that older millennials seek news, but younger millennials let news find them.
Find them,
so,
right.
So that's the situation regarding social networks. And I think that, yes, when we look, example, in games, in Serbia, and look for that news providers, we can see that the youngest millennials are not, they do not follow the news and they don't go to news portals, but they are finding for some relevant, entertaining content for them. And I think that for this part of millennials, news sites are too slow for them. Their behavior, they are always on the move. They are fast. They ask for instant information, for fast communication, and all this information on sites are too slow for them. This is I think the main reason. When we look at the
could it be that the news sites are desperately trying to get people to their website instead of posting content on the social media?
Yes, through feeds on Facebook, they try to get followed to their sites. But when we look at the oldest millennials, then we can see that they are on the news portals, and they go directly to portals. They find all relevant news for them about sport, about entertainment, lifestyle. Just on this news portal, but also what I think that we should notice here, when you're talking with millennials, especially with younger millennials, they are the center of their world. And they say, I am the news. So they are looking for only news that is relevant for them. And that's why it is important that content and relevant content for them, even for news.
Yeah. Okay. Our next question for Daniela, it's an interesting one. When it comes to privacy and millennials, I found an interesting quote on Reddit the other day. It says that George Orwell didn't predict that we would buy cameras ourselves, and that our biggest fear would actually be that no one is watching. So. What is the attitude of millennials to when it comes to privacy? Do they behave differently than other people?
So here I can split millennials in two groups, under 25 and above 25.
Okay.
Because younger groups, I think they are not totally aware of where they leaving their data, because they are using so many applications for everything, and video games and so on. Older groups are more cautious, older generation groups are more cautious about leave their data, and they rather choose some official channel of the company to leave their data, such as website or another channel. And for example, we had in one campaign for cash loans engagement banner with application form and calculator, and we noticed that they would interact with banner and play with calculator, but they rather choose to go to our website and apply. For that product. So I think then in Serbia, in general, online users are more cautious for payment transaction and leave data such as number of credit cards. But I think that is not the case to the people are cautious about leaving personalized data such as contact, email, name, surname, personal number, because we have application form on our website for every product. And we ask them for that name, name, email, phone, and we don't have problem with that.
Good.
People leaving their data, yes. Yeah, of course, we noticed some increasing level of conscious, but it is still a lot of people who is not worried much.
So Brandon, back to YouTube. Since YouTube has actually more millennials among the audience than any other cable network. So, what do you think? Do brands really recognize, YouTube as their important advertising platform? Like when you compare TV ads and I don't know, YouTube pre-roll ads and stuff like that. So. What do you think? Where is YouTube today?
Well, I think it varies brand to brand drastically. I was researching some stats last night, and I think millennials are spending something, or at least millennials in the US are spending like 3 hours a day watching digital video. And that's more than they're watching TV. So whether or not advertisers are on board with that and the dollars are kind of reflecting and aligned with that is a little bit, I think it varies a lot. But the fact that they're watching more digital video the celebrities to them, the most recognizable personalities are digital celebrities, YouTubers and Viners and Instagrammers. Clearly, that's where advertisers should be, and I'm not saying that's the only place they should be, but it should have a significant presence. And for the most part, I would say, in my experience, brands, their dollars don't necessarily reflect that. But it's getting better and better and better. And to a lot of brands' credit, one thing that I've heard a lot of them do, which kind of has led to them investing more and more, is they'll have their dollars split into like 70%, 20%, 10%. 10% is like really experimental. 20% is like, oh, we tried it once and it worked well, we're going to invest a bit more. And then 70% is tried and true. And I was at Brandcast, YouTube's kind of big advertiser event a few weeks ago, and Toyota went on stage and was like, YouTube's been in our 70% bucket for years now. And that was kind of cool to hear, because it seems like a lot of brands still perceive it as a new thing, even though it's not, but it's getting there.
Yeah. Good. So Herbert, there's a theory that some people even say that millennials do not react to ads at all. I mean, but they, on the other hand, they sure have some brands that are connected to. So how actually are they open to advertising? And I mean the classic, like Mad Men style advertising. And how do they engage with brands in general compared to some previous generations?
I think it's hard to say how they truly engage with advertising we're doing. What we can see is that some handset advertising, and if there is something in for the young generation, then they will reflect positively to it. I think what we always have to keep in mind is that it has to be relevant for the target group. It doesn't count just for millennials, but even more, I guess, for millennials, because they would skip just if it's not relevant. So we are trying to keep it a bit, or to take it a bit more easy lately, and to not advertise in their face too much with a very, very straightforward approach. So I think this one thing of keeping the relevancy high is hugely important for them. And on the other hand, we tried a bit a gamificational approach. So where we had banners where people can play around with it. The one thing is, it's not too cheap, actually. And what I said before is also true here. So advertising is hugely important still. But on the other hand, we're seeing that we have to keep the people on the platform where they are and not trying to force them to another place. So I think it has to be relevant. It has to be somewhat engaging for especially younger generations.
Okay.
That's the 2 points that are most important.
Maria, now, interesting question. Millennials are known to be, to have strong values, and a lot of millennials have values like, political correctness, gender equality, gay rights, stuff like that. And we actually seen all this in the last season of South Park, like, in a funny version, and But on the other hand, traditionally brands are not likely to commit and to stay on one specific side of society. So how can you just what should you do in an environment like that? So millennials want their brand to have strong values, and on the other hand, you have to stay neutral. So what do you do?
Yes, we could see on the movie before this panel the values of millennials. They are the socially liberal generation more than other generation, and they value social justice and environment and treasure balance, variety, etc. But when we did our research to describe millennials, we were pretty surprised that in Serbia Serbia, millennials at the core are very traditional and very conservative.
Really?
Yes,
Oh.
it was surprised us, but that's it. And they really value family, then loyalty, friendship. For example, we saw in the movie, for them, the real heroes are their parents. And it was not that we expected before the research, but after the research, we found out that we can talk about millennial, they are modern in a way of communication. But when it comes to life decision, they do on more traditional and conservative way.
Yeah, that's actually a global trend. I heard that millennials have the best relationship with their parents out of all generations so far.
I don't know for global, but for Serbia, it is for sure, and our surveys show that. Yes, yes, it's really was surprised for me. And when we are talking about values and brands, I think that their main values is pursuit of happiness. They want to be happy. They are young and they want to be happy, and this is a good big space for brands for all of this value, from green, from organic foods, or these traditional values, etc. It is all good for brands to take some space of that. But what I think that is a challenge for all of us as a marketing industry, it is how we communicate with millennials. The social networks has the most influence over them, and they want the dialogue, they want fast reaction, and they want to feel as they communicate with the person, not with entity. I think that's the challenge for us, and also what is important for them, it's that authenticity. So be authentic. It's the most important for all of brands and for all of our campaigns that we are setting.
Okay. So back to Daniela. Now we have a lot of data these days, and so many likes and comments and everything. So the amount of data is growing up exponentially each day. And what do you think about using big data in marketing advertising? And where are actually companies today? Are they just learning stuff about, are they just looking at some Excel tables and see nothing?
Yes.
Spreadsheets, or they have some kind of...
The situation is literally different.
Yeah.
I can tell the big data, of course, is not just the data. You need to know how to apply on your business. And data collection is very complex, since we are collecting leads and data from too many sources, like websites, social media, banners, blogs, branches, and it's very challenging to properly merge all that data. So if you use your database properly and do segmentation and analysis, you come to the final consumer whom you want to send the personalized offer that is exactly designed for them.
Okay.
And after segmentation, we ask client and analyze client about their habits and which product they use and what is that we as a bank can offer them like an added value. And yes, we are working a lot of our big data, and we are doing properly, and we are doing big data on all aspects of our business. So very often we have campaigns, tailor-made campaigns just for e-banking users, give them some interest rate or some other benefit. We want to award them because they are using online channels. Then we have a special and tailor-made campaign for pensioners, for affluent clients, for X generation, etc. And in the end, we are constantly working on customer service of the clients. Ask them about their attitudes, experience, working on satisfaction of working with us.
Right.
Because and then I think it's really important to do segmentation of your customer base, because not all the clients are the same. And clients very appreciate when you're talking to them directly and recognize their needs.
Okay.
So I think the personalization is the key of using big data.
Okay, yeah, sure. Brandon, So there's a research saying that an average millennial has the attention span less than a goldfish. Like goldfish has 7 seconds, and average Facebook user has a 5 seconds attention span. So how will advertising adjust that? For example, YouTube and video directing and everything. So is there a specific way to like produce content for people in that state of mind?
Yeah, I think so. And we've been talking about the values that millennials have, or whether or not they like ads. And I don't think it's about whether or not they like ads. It's really, do they like the content or the message or the brand? It's really easy to say, we hate ads, but the reality is most ads are awful. I mean, they're just terrible. I don't care about the fact that it's selling something so much as what they're saying. If there's a cool ad, like I'll share it on Facebook if it's something that I'm really excited about or I believe in. And, so as we're being bombarded with all these messages, kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, it's really all about, are you adding value? Is it relevant to them? Because millennials will spend a ton of time on stuff. And anybody will spend a bunch of time on stuff that they're actually passionate about. And we have so many options. I mean, literally, if you think about it, being in front of a computer, you can get any information you want in 2 seconds. And you're always thinking about it. I mean, like, I'm sure everybody has this problem. I know I do. I'm like in the middle of doing some work, and I'm like, oh, I want to look up this. And I just like go off into a rabbit hole with like Wikipedia and who knows what else. Because there's just so many options and so much at your fingertips. But we're really, and I don't want to overgeneralize, but an entrepreneurial generation. And to be an entrepreneur takes a lot of dedication, a lot of brain power and time. And so we're certainly capable of it, but we've got a really great filter for bullshit, and we'll throw it aside if it's if it's not good.
Okay. And our last question for Herbert is about the generation beyond millennials. We're talking about the 2000s or Z generation, or there are many names about them. We heard, for example, today that they have their own YouTube war. Like they didn't hear about some famous pop stars, but they know about YouTubers. So this generation seems to be even more different than millennials in that terms. And how do you think they will use online media, and what will you do about them?
So I think it's two things driving it. So on one hand, it's also the society which is changing. So it's not just millennials who are behaving differently; it's the whole society, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think based on that, the future generations, they grew up totally different. So when I was playing games, I was playing real physical games when I was young. Nowadays, they all just grow up with their handsets from year one. So basically, I have a daughter which is now 3 months old. And she's still a bit afraid when she's talking to me on the video call, but I think this will change pretty soon. Yeah. So I think what is hugely important, what they do from the very beginning, is having this game approach, or this gamification approach. So I believe those younger generations, we have to take care to make it really engaging and to gamify the experience what they are having. So I think this is one point. Some of the topics have already been discussed. I think it will be extremely important to make the content which we show them extremely relevant for them, because of the concentration span, because they don't want to waste too much time. They want information extremely quick. They will be expecting to be 24 hours connected. All of that leads to having really the necessity for relevant content. That's the second point. And I think for the third part is that we as brands also have to think differently going forward, especially for those young generations, to be way more open than we have been before. So I would really like to, and that's the path at least where I see digital moving from Telenor perspective. I would like to invite all the people in Serbia to discuss about certain topics, to also help other customers.
Yeah.
So I think this will be a change where people are way more, especially those young people, are way more willing to share information, way more open, way more willing to share it. That this is, I would see as a third important evolution or maybe a revolution.
Sounds good. Okay, so I thank you all for this interesting conversation, and we can continue with the conference.
Hvala.